Okay, so welcome back everyone to another one of my guides. So as you can tell, for this video we are going to be going over ways to where in which you can consistently improve. And now I'm going to pull out my ever so handy notepad, you feel me? Alright, so ways to consistently improve your gameplay. Now the best way to put this into terms is to essentially you want to progressively increase the amount of gameplay mental stack. So what do I mean by this? When I am playing a game for the first time, as you guys are, or at least trying to learn something, you try to just instantly incorporate it, and like you don't really put enough focus or thought process into what you're actually trying to accomplish. So for instance, how to perfectly go about this is, let's say we're talking about anti-airs, right? We struggle with anti-airs, we realize that we're in platinum or we're in gold, our opponents are jumping a lot, and it's really annoying because anytime your opponent jumps at you, you're getting put in these situations where you either have to hold a throw or a button afterwards, and it's very uncomfortable for you because it makes you guess, right? You can do like jump suppressor, right, and kind of bait out the throw, or you can do crouch jab to kind of catch you teching or whatever have you, right? It's very uncomfortable, so we want to cut off that option and simultaneously put things in our favor. So if we have trouble with anti-airing, first things first is that we want to acknowledge the fact that we have trouble anti-airing. Then after that point, we have to find ways in which we can anti-air naturally. Okay, so obviously for Manon, I already know what these are, but if you don't know what your options are, you have to go over your options, or you can even YouTube search them, right? Depending on your character, it might be DP, might be crouching heavy punch, might be back heavy fist, might be standing heavy kick. If you're Ed, right, it changes the character to character, but suffice to say, if I know what it is, right, I can anti-air them that way. I can also anthem this way. I can also do the normal one like so, right? I have options to anti-air. So then the first things first is that you want to identify, or second things, you want to identify which anti-air you want to use on a consistent basis. So for me, if I'm 100% sure you're going to jump, I'm going to take this option, drive gauge permitted, because it gives me a stock. If not, if it's on like the cusp of me just reacting raw reaction, I'm gonna go towards crouching heavy punch. Now with that being said, you don't have that muscle memory to go for that option anytime a person jumps. So what you want to do now is that now that you've acknowledged this, we've also figured out what button we want to use in order to anti-air. While we're in game, we're going to make it a very significant focus in our gameplay. Okay, we're gonna make sure that every jump attempt is at least anti-aired. Okay, even if you're a little bit late and you get hit in your dome, we still take those, because at the very least you're starting to react. It's starting to become muscle memory for you. So if you clicked on this video, I'm sure you need some help. Lord knows I did at some point. But here's the thing, you want your favorite content creators to come and help you, but let's be real, they're charging like $60 per hour. You don't need that. But when I got you good. Over on this channel, I do free coaching sessions on Tuesdays and on Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. EST. So what does that look like? I essentially go over your matches. I give you tools so that you can succeed the next time you open up rank. So once again, join my Discord. Wait till I'm live either on Tuesdays or on Thursdays, 6:30 p.m. EST. Be there or be square. And yeah, I'm not your favorite pro, but I'm available. Those pros are not available. So once again, join the live, get better, and I'll help you improve. back to the video, right? A lot of the pros, they don't really have to think as much when it comes to anti-airs, and that's kind of where you want to get to. Obviously, I'm not saying you have to become a pro at anti-air, but you want to get sufficient, so at least like 75 to 80% of jumps are getting anti-aired. Another thing when it comes to anti-air, a little bit of a side note, but you want to make sure that you're standing in the correct ranges, and when you're standing in certain ranges, you will kind of know that they want to jump. Like for instance, this spacing right here is ideally where they want to jump, because their buttons don't generally reach this range, but they also want to get to you and press something, right? So ideally, if they'll try and jump in those ranges. So that's why a lot of folks like standing in this range, because it not only gives you the opportunity to try and whiff punish something, but in the case that they try to jump at you, you're also given enough time to react to it, and it keeps it pretty simple for you. Just throwing that in, just a little tidbit of information. But essentially what you want to do is, again, acknowledge the fact that you don't have something. You want to make sure that once you've acknowledged it, you find answers to your problem. Then while you're playing, you want to make a conscious effort, right? Whether you win or lose is kind of irrelevant. I'm going to be perfectly honest. If you feel like you can't play ranked while learning this is fine. Go to the hub, go to casual matches, do it there. But you want to make sure that you're focusing on your ability to anti-air. Everything else kind of comes second while trying to learn these things, right? So you want to be focusing on anti-airing, making sure that you're hyper focused on it. The same could be said if you're trying to focus on drive rush, you know, hyper focused on it, and then we go from there, right? The next thing we want to go over when it comes to the mental stack is setups. Okay, so when you're watching the pros, I'm sure you've seen them do quite a few setups, right? Setups would include doing certain frame kills to make it seem like it's a bait. This would also make it so that you can make certain fireballs plus block in the corner. I'm gonna give you an example of something that Manon has, right? In the case that I do not get thrown in a corner. So in the case that you hit one of these, you can do this into block, right? So what happens here is that great, you love to see it. I killed Luke, guys, for the first time in my life. So what you can do, right, is while you're playing, you hit them and you do this. Now the reason why you do that frame kill is because ordinarily this is -1, right? Or in a normal case, this is -1. However, if we do the setup that I'm mentioning, we can make it +2. I'm gonna actually zoom in here so you can see the +2. So while you're +2, this also means it gives you a lot of opportunity to go for other things as well, right? So let's say we go here, we can go into +2 into grab. We can also do something like this, right? And this option is very sneaky because it makes them have to guess between either A, trying to DP out the situation, in which we can do the first one and then just walk back, right? So it gives you a lot of options, and this is a smaller version of a setup, but a setup nonetheless, right? So essentially what you want to do is that while you're playing the game, you want to be conscious of the spacing that you have, right? And in the cases that you're conscious of the spacing that you have, you want to realize, oh shoot, I'm in the corner now, let me go for it, let me put them in this situation. And now that they're in the situation, you want to try and gravitate towards. So the same idea as the anti-air now, but the only thing is that now you're going to be actively working towards it while you're playing, right? And it's a little bit different with anti-airs, because anti-airs you're waiting for the opponent to do it, but in these cases you have to recognize that you're like close to the corner, and then you want to go for it in those cases. Another thing that you may want to start incorporating, depending on what character you play, are certain setups into better Oki, because as everyone knows, oh my goodness, this combo doesn't leave you the best Oki, right? But in some cases you might wanna go into this. Now the reason being is because it gives you better Oki, right? So it also, keeping in mind that you want to incorporate these sort of things in your gameplay, just so that you make it more difficult for your opponent to get away with certain things, is also something you want to incorporate as well. Now, the last thing I did want to go over is defense. Now, when it comes to defense, I'm talking about something in particular. Okay, so one thing that I see a lot, and I mean a lot, is the fact that you'll get thrown and then you'll get thrown again, and then you will immediately try and tech the situation, right? So in the cases where you're constantly getting thrown, you want to make sure that you're not always trying to tech, right? You may tech the first 2 throws, but in the case where you try to tech the 3rd attempt, you're going to get hit. So what you can do is to start incorporating a little bit more finger discipline, right? And what I mean by discipline is, I mean, you want to take the throw, okay? Because what a lot of folks is going to do, they're going to do once, they're going to do twice, they're going to walk in like they're doing that, and then they're going to go for their offense that way, right? Ideally, you want to kind of avoid this by being patient. Now, in the case that you're being patient, you can then take your turn, right? Unfortunately, Manon doesn't have low forward drive rush, but you get the idea. The same thing could be said about your opponent holding up, right? They want to make sure they hit you for trying to tech. And in the cases that you do decide to tech because you don't have that discipline, you get punish countered for it. And you want to incorporate a little bit more discipline. So you may get caught once, you may get caught a couple times, but I want you to keep practicing this idea, because if you're patient, what ends up happening is that you end up turning this on its head, right? You see patient, you see jump, and then now we get either a situation where they get really hurt really badly into Oki, or you kill them and you get rewarded for your patience. And this is something that you want to make sure that you're keeping in mind while playing. Anyways, comment down below what sort of other questions you have. I'm more than likely to make a video on it. I hope this helps you improve consistently. If you have any questions about what I've said, I'm more than willing to answer it in the comments down below. Anyways, guys, have a good one, y'all. Peace.